All right, ladies and gentlemen. So now we are on to step 4, and this one is a little bit more difficult because I really can't tell you step by step what to do with it. Because really, step 4 is starting to make these look a little bit more like what your sculpture is going to look like. So this is where you need to have your mannequin in your pose, or as close as you can, and really start looking and seeing if any of your things are having issues or if any of your things are in the wrong position. So this is where you start looking at, okay, if this is what my front view looks like, then going to your side view, making sure things like the arms are starting in the middle of the body, making sure the legs are connected and you're not seeing parts of the leg that you would see to make your body see-through. Also, this is about starting to look at what the human body actually looks like. So mannequins are a pretty good start, but even these don't really look like humans. So if you look at your arm and you look at how your arm goes from elbow to wrist, on the mannequin, it's all just about the same thickness. But if we look at your arm, it's a little thicker and it gets thinner at your elbow. It gets even thicker as it comes up into your upper arm. So that's when you start looking at your drawing and start doing things like tweaking some of these edges so that it starts looking like a human. If we look at your elbow, if I've got my elbow out, I see how it comes in a little bit right at the elbow and then it comes back out. So this is where you start erasing your gesture drawing and give yourself a sculpture that looks a little bit more human. It's a little too skinny. This is where you look at like the thickness of the arms and how it gets thicker at the top. If I look at my hands. Now we are doing these out of wire, so we don't need any little details. We just need kind of big shapes to be right. So when it comes to your hands, you're lucky this year we don't have to draw fingers. You can kind of treat your hand like it's a flat shape. And since mine are going to be together like that, I just have to look at like maybe making the bottom part thinner so that it gets thinner as it comes up to my fingers. And actually, for my sculpture, because I'm kind of thinking ahead here, I think my hands are really going to merge into one. So this is where you can start doing that kind of brainstorming and thinking, how is this going to work as a sculpture? If I make the hands all one big shape, might look a little weird in my drawing, but it's going to help my hands stay together in my sculpture. So step 4 is start looking at maybe getting someone into that pose and looking at how does your arm, when your arm bends like that, how does that work? Maybe making this part of the arm look be a little thicker. Making sure your arms and legs don't just look like sticks, so they start looking like humans. This is where you would go in and add the neck, so that the head and the neck kind of connect. This is where you would start going in and making the head shape. If, for example, I want to make this a girl and I want her to have a ponytail, because I think that would be kind of interesting to make it really look like a girl, I could sit and add the ponytail as a detail. You don't want anything that's too difficult as a detail, so you want to keep your details kind of simple and kind of work your way down the body. You can start erasing things like the gesture of the torso. We can make, because this is going to be a leg going back, this is all going to go kind of back. It's going to go to the knee. I'm going to think about, and maybe even there are some packets up at the front of the room. There are some packets at the front of the room that kind of show you the muscle tone of arms. How your legs might look, how they get thinner and thicker. So if we look at, you guys don't have to worry about the faces, but kind of looking at the legs. So looking at the muscles of the legs. If I look at this, and I get close enough that you can see it, see how it's thicker at the thigh, and it comes in and gets a little thinner at the knee, and then right below the knee it comes out. So it kind of gets, so it's thick at the thigh, where the thigh meets the torso, and then it gets thinner at the knee, and then it gets a little thicker as it comes down, but it gets thinner at the, so we got some calves going on here. Thinking about what does the foot look like. This particular foot, if I'm looking at the front view, I'm just seeing the heel, so it's going from foot into heel. So maybe I pull out an image where we're kind of looking at, see how this one here, we're kind of looking at the back of the thing, so we can kind of get that idea of foot into heel. We don't see the toes. You wouldn't see the toes anyways, but the shape of the foot is more that kind of flat shape. If I look at this leg is going forward, so I'm just going to see kind of the front part of it. And I am going to see that line there because that line tells me that this part of the leg is going in front of it. And then this is the ankle, so it's going to get a little skinnier. And going up. And then this is the bottom of the foot. So that's when I need to start looking at what does the bottom of the foot look like. Because that would be, this would be the heel. Hold on. Got this, because this is the heel. Because I'm seeing it here. See how I keep looking back over here to try to figure it out? So this is the heel. And then it kind of comes in. Don't want to get bigger than my foot size was because I measured that. If you didn't measure it, this is your time to do that. So then I'm kind of looking at, okay, what is a foot shape? I might want to keep the foot shape kind of like this. So I'm seeing the heel, except I don't want my heel to be quite that flat. Heel. Going this way. So I'm seeing the foot like that. So I'm seeing the heel come out to the toes. It's a little too long. Oh wait. Actually that's about right. I didn't measure my feet before. So then I start making that look just like the foot. And once again, I keep that line because any lines that show up in this tell me that something is overlapping something else. Now, the other thing that I'm going to have to do and have to think about is how is this thing going to balance? Am I going to have it balance on the fingers? Or am I going to have it with some kind of weight down here so it's kind of falling off the table? Maybe right now I'm going to try to put some kind of block at the bottom, and I'm going to talk about that when we start talking about our sculpture. But I'm going to kind of keep that sketchy because that's a proposal. And I might even, because this is a plan, you might even want to write something like block ? So you know that that's something that you need to think about more. So once you've finished one view, you're going to go and do the same thing to the other view. I'm going to look at, okay, well my arm gets thicker as it comes in. So then I erase that gesture drawing. It comes in at the elbow. And then it goes a little wide, and then comes into my hands. I want to look at, if I'm doing my hands sideways, they're about half a head thick. So I need to look back, and these guys are not wide enough. So my view this way, I needed to work on the width of my hands. And then I can go in and erase that gesture drawing. I can draw just a little bit of a line to the other side so that I see that it's behind it. So it echoes there. Her ponytail would stick out. Since I added that in, I've got to add that on. There we go. I'm going to look at her body shape and think about, okay, if I'm looking at a side view and she's going to be female, I want to curve this in a little bit more and curve that out. The back isn't perfectly straight, so I want to curve it a little bit more. Here's where that, remember talking about how thick those thighs were? That your thigh comes into your leg, so your thigh comes in and goes a little bit narrower, and then I can erase these lines. So really what you're doing is looking at and starting to make your sculpture look just a little bit more human. You don't have to make yours look superhuman. Like, this is not an illustration, this is a sculpture plan. And our sculptures are going to be a little bit abstract and a little bit generalized human. So you don't have to worry about this looking too perfect, but you want to get it so that the body parts are a little bit more accurate than just a gesture drawing or a mannequin. And this is where I'd look at, see how does that foot sit? Like that. I'm going to make sure that my foot is the right size because I don't think I measured that before. And then I would draw kind of what little bit of the block I would see here. Block. Question mark. Or maybe I even, because I'm still questioning what I'm going to do, maybe I even think about block. Question mark. All right, so step 4 is to get your drawing to the point where you can show it to me, to Ms. Chesser, and I'm going to tell you, yes, this looks like a human. Yes, we're going to move on to wire.